Hey, welcome back. Yeah, so today I wanted to kind of just go over a little bit of information that I learned while trying to build a 2-1 team specific for speed farming Dragon and Ice Golem. I've seen other videos where this team does it, but I really wanted to get into how it works, why it works. And when I was looking at the speeds, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, why would I need a 230 speed on any of these characters when Seeker is only a 103 speed in Ice Golem or Sorceress is only a 101? So I kind of went down the rabbit hole, and big thanks to some old videos out there. We got some videos by Saf that talk truly in depth about it, but it was focused on clan boss. It wasn't really focused on team. So I kind of wanted to expand this out to bigger matches, more than just my 5 characters and a clan boss. I wanted to actually touch on how do you do this because it took me hundreds of energy to figure this out through trial and error and understanding it. So I just want to share this on. He does bring up a very interesting point: speed versus turn meter, and that's what we're going to talk really about. In order for a character, and you can see all this in Saf's video as well, in order for a champion to take their turn, they have to reach the magic number of 1,428. Now, that number is accumulated as ticks go by in the backside of the server based on what the speed of the champion is. So in this case, I've got my Urgram, my Xavias, my Tauruses, their base speed plus the gear that I've added to them. So this is what their speeds look like inside of the game. But then I've also factored in the speed aura from Urgram. So that's another 20% of the base speed added to this. Obviously, it gets really ugly mathematically as we move on to doing things like adding speed, turn meter boosts, anything like that. But I wanted to keep it simple so that people understood exactly what turn meter versus speed is, because they're related, but they're not the same. So at these speeds, I basically fill a full turn 16, 17%, and it takes me about 6 ticks. So you might sit there and look and go, okay, great, 6 ticks, and compare that to either these other ones, 14 ticks, done, I'm sold, I've got what I need. It's not that easy either. There's other mechanics that fall into it. But needless to say, this speed, I want to say, is probably about the minimum that you need to get through and do Ice Golem 25, Dragon 25 in a reasonable time. I'm going to go ahead and just kick off a bunch of runs in the background while we talk about this. Might as well as let the team do some work. We've got champion trait. No, we got dragon tournament going on right now. Farming 25, not the best. Point per energy spend. You might get the best potential gear drops, but you're not getting the absolute best energy. There's a table out there. If you haven't checked it out or don't know about it, go to this Umilove, however you pronounce that. Look at the clan boss drop rates, and then go down to the loot table. The loot table pretty much does tell us what we want to know as far as points per value go. Here up at Dragon 25, it's only 0.91 points per energy spent, whereas down here at Dragon 20, it's 1.1. So that's a considerable amount more efficient points per energy for farming 20. So if you're doing tourney stuff, probably going out farming 20 is going to be your absolute best option. If you don't know that resource out there, or resources where to find speeds. Hell Hades has a wonderful tool. Go to his website. Go to Raid Shadow Legends. Go to Raid Stage Tools. Drop down for dungeons, drop down for Dragon's Lair, and go to whatever stage you want to figure out, what are the speeds that I need to achieve, or what are the speeds that the enemies are to be able to do this. All right, but anyways, back to what we are doing here and why this is finally succeeding. Let's just jump over to what the turns are actually looking like. So this is this is Ice Golem. I plotted it against Ice Golem because Seeker's there. Seeker's faster. If I can beat Seeker, I can beat the Dragon. With Seeker's turn speed being 103. That's higher than anything that was in Dragon at 101 for the top. So here, visually, we get to see exactly every single tick go through. So there's the background tick. Nobody's going yet. As soon as somebody hits 1 or greater than 1, it's evaluated to see who's at the top, who has the absolute most turn meter, and they get to go first. So here we can see Taurus goes, and if we're watching the video in the background, that's what's happening. One of the Tauruses goes, then the next Taurus goes, then Xavia clears wave 1. Then we start all over again. And basically go right through all of this. This is lined up specifically to look at stage or wave 2. This doesn't take into account wave 1 at all. But wave 2, Taurus is going to go, Taurus 1 is going to go, Xavia is going to go. Wave's not cleared yet. Eurogrim has a chance. Renegade's going to reset. And then we're going to do Taurus, Taurus, Xavia to clear the wave again. You can see that's what's going to happen right here. Taurus goes, Xavia goes, Eurogrim, reset, poisons again, and clear the wave. So that's how this goes. But how do we get there? And what if the fight went beyond that? If the fight goes beyond that, first off, you can see this ugly mess right here. What's going on here? This is contention for who gets to make their turn. Now, only one person can make their turn per tick, and if it goes to the next tick, everyone else gets a chance or gains their turn meter when the next person goes. And essentially, this person wastes turn meter because they've overextended waiting for their turn. This is a key thing to think about when we want to talk about things like efficiencies in building our team. What does that look like? Who do I make faster to make my team faster? But if this were to continue on, and let's say, Xavia didn't clear everything right there, who was going to go next? Well, the next one that's going to go is Seeker, because Seeker is in the next turn line that broke 100. He's waited one turn. Xavia got to go ahead of him just barely, even though Xavia had already taken a turn, but because her turn meter fill was more at the end of the tick, 1.0164 versus 1.0094, that means Xavia gets to go first, and that's how this works. Originally, I actually had Eurogrim going faster, and it'd get to Eurogrim's turn, and then Seeker would go, and it would wipe. So all I did was made Xavia a little faster. So here is Seeker's turn, and then it goes back to Eurogrim. And that's only simply because Eurogrim's turn meter fills so much faster than Rocktooth or the other Seekers that his turn meter is above when it comes the next turn to go or the next tick. So he actually pushes the second Seeker out. Now we know that the first Seeker is probably going to do turn meter boost and all that kind of stuff, but let's assume that it doesn't, and let's just assume they're all doing A1s for whatever reason. We can see how that actually ends up pushing their turns further and further away as my champs take precedence with higher turn meter fill at the end of a tick. And we can continue to see down here what exactly goes on. So how would I make this more efficient? I don't want Seeker. Maybe I need Eurogrim to go. The natural thought process would be, hey, Eurogrim needs to go faster. But really what it is this contention right here needs to be figured out. We either need to make Eurogrim go faster, or we need to make somebody else go a little bit faster so that there's not 4 people contending and that they take their turn up here. Now, it turns out it's actually more efficient to make a Taurus go faster than it is to actually make Eurogrim go faster. Here we can see Eurogrim's going on tick 16. But if we come back here and we take the second Taurus, and instead of adding 123 speed, we add 165. Now he's doing 5 turns to fill his tick. And what does that look like comparative? Well, we can't look at it in this chart anymore. You can see the numbers have skewed. They've moved all over the place. But that's why I've got this second chart down here. So with that number skewed, now Taurus goes on tick 5. And my contention is actually only on turn or tick 6. This actually frees it up now that Eurogrim, everybody in my team goes twice in wave 2 before the first Seeker even gets a turn. And quite honestly, Eurogrim just barely squeaks out ahead in that first turn of his. So this is actually, really interesting way of looking at, well, how do I make a team a lot more efficient in turn meter? And it's really understanding how do I move this person, not necessarily just faster, but how do I move them to a less contentious space, specifically with the rest of my team? I could even potentially slow him down and, put him someplace else, and that would actually make my team faster. If Taurus or if Eurogrim was later on and didn't contend against these people, we might see very similar results as far as the lineup goes. But here you can see, my order goes all 5 of my champs twice before Seeker even gets to go. Here's the old one. Ignore the stuff on the right, but I get all the way to Xavia, and then Seeker jumps in. So this is actually, by speeding up Taurus, speeding up Eurogrim in taking his turns. Quite considerably. Eurogrim goes from taking a turn on tick 16 to now taking a turn on tick 14. So this has actually sped up things quite a bit for this team. And it's really kind of a complex, I honestly, I couldn't do this without going and creating a spreadsheet like this to visualize it and see where all the contentions are, because we also have to still think about all the contention here. But look at all the push, all the turn meter push that my team forces on the opposing wave. All because mine are jumping ahead, then they're contending with each other. Who gets to go first on their team? It keeps getting pushed back. Then my team jumps in. Here you can see Taurus jumping in the middle. Again, assuming that the Seekers don't do their turn meter manipulation, that would be a huge boost to these numbers, and would almost ensure that everybody goes, right after Eurogrim, if they're still alive. But when thinking about, Doom Tower waves that are a little bit heavier and stronger, this is actually, where you want to start thinking about, if I'm going to have a prolonged battle, what do I really need to do if I want to make this auto and if I want to make it, friendly for everything? Anyway, I just thought that was kind of cool. The other comparison, we basically sped up the entire run. If we go out to 30 ticks, we see that Eurogrim actually goes at 29. If we just sped up that one Taurus instead of speeding up Eurogrim, which I thought was really interesting. You speed up a different champ to actually get the champ that you want going faster in the turns. So I thought this was handy. I thought I would just share it with you guys. Not necessarily showing you how to make a 2-1 team, or giving you just this, I shouldn't say that, showing you how to make the 2-1 team and what's required behind it, instead of just, hey, put these speeds in and it works. Hope everyone enjoyed that. We'll be back another time with something else interesting. Maybe my free-to-play account once it hits level 40.